Week 8 here inside the Bears Den, and we're glad to have you with us. I'm A.A. Moore. I'm here with our coach, Sam Shade. And, Coach, we've been coming here for 5 consecutive weeks talking about wins. Week 6 is upon us, and we've got another homecoming match here against Benedict.
Yes, we went up to Columbia, South Carolina on this past Saturday, and we're very fortunate to come out with a 26-14 win. Didn't start off the way we wanted to start off. Had a I won't say a miscue, but gave up a big play on special teams to start us off. And after that, we kind of got things together and were able to come away with the win.
Well, we've been doing that for now a month and a half, and that's 6 straight wins in the conference. And we're going to be able to break all of that down in just a moment. But, Coach, let's just go ahead and get it out of the way because people are talking about it. This whole homecoming thing. You know, you've played 3 of them, including one of your own, and now you've taken care of 2 other people's homecomings. Does that make you feel, your team feel any kind of way that you're the opponent first and foremost and that you get a chance to knock these people off?
Well, you hit on something because we definitely you do feel some type of way. You know, if you've been around this game long enough as a player or coach, I know for myself, I never played anybody for their homecoming in college, so – you know, as a coach, it's new to me, and I feel like myself and the team, we have felt some type of way about it.
Well, we'll get a chance to look at how they handled that when we come back here inside the Bears Den with Coach Sam Shade. Back here inside the Bears Den with Coach Sam Shade. I'm A.A. Moore, and Coach, you hit on it before we went to the break. We started this ball game very inauspicious way, and I think we'll just kind of get all of it out of the way. Certainly it was the kickoff return by Jackson Williams, 96 yards. That puts Benedict on top. We had some more trouble with the kicking game, a couple extra points missed, a field goal missed. Do you worry that could become a problem later?
Well, we've actually the entire season, you know, those are some things that we have worried about in the kicking game as far as PATs and field goals. We're definitely not happy with, you know, where we are as far as misses and situations where we give up a big return, things like that. So it's really just, hey, you go back and you work on it, and it's actually interesting because when we go back and work on it, we come back and we're fine, and then maybe nothing happens, and then there's something else every week. But that's football. You know, they're going to make some plays too. They got good coaches and things like that. Their coaches get paid, and they've got good players. So things are going to happen, but you really want to limit the amount of things that do happen to you in a negative light.
So you get the ball back on offense. You got Cam Ivory back this week. He's missed basically 2.5 ball games, and you bring him in, and now it's time to kind of restart your offense again. Talk about the switch back to Cam. Of course, he's your starter, but when you haven't played in a couple weeks, you got to reacclimate.
Well, unfortunately, Khalil Anglin actually was not able to play in the ball game because we felt like he had been playing really well the past 2 games while Cam was out. And we would have loved to have had them both ready for that ball game, but unfortunately, Khalil wasn't able to go. And we're fortunate to have our starting quarterback coming back at the same time, Cam. And we thought he did a really good job in the ball game as far as just managing the game. And he made some throws, made some big throws. Connected with Frank Pierre a couple times for touchdowns, and I want to say we were almost 70% passing, and I thought he did an excellent job for those 2 weeks that he was out.
Well, you were able to come right back down the field after giving up the touchdown, and you got your own touchdown, and this time it was Ed Osley who found his way into the end zone. Your running game, again, still putting up big numbers, and really it hasn't mattered who's been the guy carrying the rock. Talk about that play that got Osley into the end zone.
Well, the thing about Ed, he's a little different than Leatherwood. He's a little bit different than Rod Thomas, but all three of those guys are very effective, and we feel like, we've got a kind of a three-headed monster going when we've got those three guys in there. Obviously, we would love to get Gennaro Scott back because right now he's still our leading rusher, and he hadn't played in what is it, 3 or 4 games. So would like to get him back, but those guys are doing an excellent job. And the play that Osley scored on, I thought that he just did a good job with his vision and his feet. And then on contact, he kept his feet moving and was able to almost pull a guy into the end zone with him. So 12-yard run for a touchdown. Great job by him. Great job by our offensive line.
Yeah, and you talk about that point of contact where your guys are hitting. When you look at the numbers that Miles puts up on the ground, you very rarely see negative runs. In fact, a lot of times the negative runs come from a quarterback sack or an option run that doesn't necessarily go very well, but your guys are always moving forward. Talk about that part being taught to your guys and being able to kind of keep that pile going forward.
Well, I've said it before that Coach Stanley Connor, our running back coach, I feel like he does an excellent job with those guys. They understand the complete running game. They understand what the blocking schemes are up front, and they understand the fronts that they're going against and where different defenders are going to be. And when you've got that going, most of the time you're going to have positive rushes. And we always talk about at least getting 2 yards. That's got to be your thinking, is at least get 2. So if it looks like you can bounce it out, but there's some color sitting out there, when I say color, different color jersey, then you got to hit it up in there and at least get 2. And if you keep getting 2 at some point, that 2 is going to turn into 3, 4, 5, and in some cases it might even turn into a touchdown, like the play with Osley.
Well, there were some good things that were certainly happening in the first half, but there was a tough play that happened. It was on a completed pass to Jalen Peterson, and when he went down, he went down, and people were out right away. You got an update on what's happening with him?
Well, we do. Jalen, he actually he stayed overnight, and there was a procedure done on him on Sunday morning, and he came back to Birmingham. His family, his mother was there. They came back to Birmingham. He's going to have a full recovery, so he'll be out for a few weeks, but just very unfortunate incident. And we talked about him a few weeks. I think it was last week we talked about him, and I talked about him being one of the unsung heroes of our team, because he's really done a great job at the receiver position, obviously an all-conference kick returner. But I think the phase that a lot of people don't realize is he was one of our better cover guys on kickoffs and on punts. And so losing a guy like that gives you so much. And also he's one of our leaders, great student, almost 4.0 GPA, just one of those guys that he's all in. And we're going to miss him the time that he's out.
So you still are able to get down the field, you score again, and now you've got the lead, and your defense now is able to play from up front. And you've been doing a lot of that when you're ahead. You win 5 in a row, 6 in a row now. You're going to play in front, but your guys are looking even more and more comfortable. And I'm going to talk about a guy that we've been talking about a whole lot, Mr. Keith Green. And you've talked about that motor and that you just love having this guy. This may have been his best individual work this season. Talk about his game.
Well, Keith, like I said, he's got one speed, and that's full, very physical guy. When he makes contact with guys, whether it's an offensive lineman, whether it's a running back, whether it's a quarterback, there's going to be a violent collision, and sometimes that ball's going to go the other way. But Keith really gets after it, especially for a young guy. And he missed, a lot of people don't know this, he missed pretty much all of training camp because he was coming off of knee surgery, and we didn't get him back until after the bye week. So it's really impressive what he's been able to do in these past 6 ball games.
He had 7 tackles. 3.5 of those were for loss. He had 1.5 sacks. He just was everywhere. He was spending a lot of time behind that line of scrimmage. And your guys spend a lot of time behind. I mean, you can start counting off names, Kamani Merrill and Jamarcus Rogers, and then you've got Rock Dowdell. Those guys, Kenai McCoy, everybody, it just seems like you pick a name from that front 4 along that defensive line. They were spending a lot of time in the backfield.
They do. Jermichael Rogers, actually, I want to say he had 1.5 tackles for losses and 2 sacks also in the ball game. So he's a guy that we felt like really got after it. Maybe not as many tackles, but just very disruptive playing on the other side of the line of scrimmage for us.
So you also ended with a touchdown from Javante Leatherwood on the ground as well, and you're pretty comfortably up front going into the half. Leatherwood, that was his 8th touchdown of the season on the ground. He's one of the top 3 in the league, and even though the yards don't add up, man, when you need him in the end zone, he seems to find a way there.
Well, he's definitely very productive. You look at, I want to say 8 touchdowns on the ground for him. So he's putting up some points for us, and I'd rather take those points than a whole lot of yards. I'd rather take those touchdowns. So he's doing what we need him to do, and he's one of those guys we want him to have the ball in those short yardage situations and those goal line situations when we're down there, and we need to really try to get it up in there.
Well, Miles is in control at halftime. Not as long a halftime this week. I'm sure you were kind of happy about that. But when we come back, we'll talk a little more about the football game. But we've got a special guest, another one of our great assistant coaches, and, man, he's got a story to tell. George Pugh, when we come back here on Inside the Bears Den. Hey, Moore back here with you inside the Bears Den, and we've got a special guest here. It's our tight ends coach and Mr. Everything, who's been a lot of everywhere, Mr. George Pugh. And Coach, thanks for joining us here inside the Bears Den.
Well, I wouldn't rather be in no other place than right here with you guys.
Indeed. Appreciate it, Coach. And we joked about it a little bit before the break. You've been in a lot of places and run across a lot of interesting people. And, you had an opportunity to play for Bear Bryant at the University of Alabama. And, everybody talks about the mystique of Bear Bryant and all the winning that was going on there. Was it like that for you? Did you look at him that way, or were you scared of him?
You better believe I was scared. I was scared half to death. If I didn't do what I was supposed to do, I knew what was going to happen. But it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. It was a great opportunity for me to continue my college career. And we were fortunate enough to win a few football games, a few national championships, never lost an SEC game. So when you win it, it becomes fun.
And you get to take that now on to playing professional ball. You get to play, you get to coach on big time Division I levels and even on some smaller levels. So you've been kind of everywhere when it comes to football right off of that experience. So what did you take from that initially as you moved into your career?
Well, initially what I felt and thought and still believe today that I was in the right place at the right time. And I took advantage of the opportunities that were presented in front of me. It started from my days back in Montgomery at Booker T. Washington High School. It was a predominantly black school, and we integrated Robert E. Lee High School. In our first year there, we won a national championship as well as a state championship. So from there, I went on to play football at the University of Alabama for the greatest coach that I know of. That's Paul Bear Bryant. So I took all of that, and as I traveled on the journey, it's amazing to me that now that I look back on it, that at every opportunity I had, I learned something different. And I mean, from high school to my first college job was at the University of Tennessee, Chattanooga. And to name a few places, New Mexico, Pittsburgh, Alabama, Texas A&M, Houston, Baylor, Georgia State, UAB. And I think, I think I just stopped right there. But I've had the opportunity to go a lot of places, and I'm proud of it. And as I said before, that I got a chance to learn a lot of football, meet a lot of people, and do the thing that I know and love to do, and that is to mentor young men, to be in the presence of young men. And hopefully I made a difference in, if not all of them, in some of their lives.
And that actually leads right into what I wanted to ask next, is that now you are in a position here at Miles. It's obviously not the top of the food chain, but it's certainly the top of the SIAC. But, you got these guys here who probably don't know half of the things that you've done. You've probably coached more life than they've lived at this point. How receptive are they to you? Or maybe a better question is, how do you relate to them?
Well, coaching is teaching. And if you're a good teacher, you'll be a good coach. It's very, very synonymous. But kids today, they probably know more about my career than I do. They have instant credibility with the telephone, and they'll Google you in a heartbeat. So it doesn't take them long to figure out where you've been, what you've done, and who you did it with. So there's no secret to what I've done, and they enjoy it. They look back, it gives me credibility. It also gives them credibility as well, because they can now say, hey, guess what? This is my coach. This is who I'm playing for. This is what he's done. Now he's able to give back to me and teach me some things and get me to the place where I want to go. So it's very easy motivating them. It's very easy to get them to do the things that they have to do to be successful, not only on the playing field, but I'm talking about being successful in life. That's the ultimate goal, because I tell young men that I come in contact with, I've done this now for over 50 years, do the little things now, pay on the front end, and the back end will take care of itself.
Well, the back end has certainly been productive here at Miles. You've already had a player, Travante Abner, get some national recognition for his play last year. And, you're handling the tight ends, the H-backs, and that room has been very productive for the Golden Bears. I know that's got to make you feel real good.
It does, because Trey, of all the tight ends that I've coached over the years, as well as other positions, he has the making of a truly, truly great football player. He has smartness, he has toughness, he has intelligence, and he's a hard worker. He's a self-motivating. He may be one of the top 5 football players, and I've coached many football players at all the places that I've been. He's in the top 5 of all the young men that I had the opportunity to coach and to do well. And the best thing about it, AA, is that he's going to get better. He wants to get better. He's made the commitment, the sacrifice that is needed to play the position, because playing tight end, you have to be able to do a lot of things. Not only you're blocking, you're catching, you're doing just several different things, and you have to do them extremely well. But he does them well because he believes in himself, number one, and he's willing to pay the price to be great.
Well, I know he's happy to have you. We're happy to have you, and certainly we're happy to have you here on Inside the Bears Den. George Pugh, thanks for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me.
When we come back, we'll look at more of Miles' win over Benedict. You're watching Inside the Bears Den with Coach Sam Shade. Back inside the Bears Den, more Coach Sam Shade. And, Coach, we talked about it. You're up 27 at the half. Frank Pierre had caught one of his 2 touchdown passes going into the break, and you come out and you get the ball. And, man, it's time to really put this game on ice. But Benedict wasn't as quick to just kind of go away.
Well, Benedict actually outscored us in the second half. We only scored 6, and they scored 7, and that's uncharacteristic of us. We pride ourselves on going out there in the second half, and we like getting the football in the second half and going down and putting points on the board and starting fast. We got the ball, we drove it down, but unfortunately we weren't able to punch it in. We had a 4th and I forgot the yardage on it, maybe
4th and 2, I think it was.
4th and 2, 4th and 3, and thought we had a play that we were going to get it on, but congrats to them. They did a great job of coming up with a big stop right there, and they got some momentum after that.
And Benedict has had, certainly the last several years, they've had, especially up on that defensive front, they've had guys who can play. And even though it's been a change in the coaching staff and maybe even in some of the philosophy, there still were guys who were left who could play football and play it at extremely high level. So you couldn't really just overlook them, even though there's the changes and then the record's not near as good.
Not at all. I think it starts with their new head coach that they've got there, Ron Dickerson Jr. He's a guy that I've known since college. I actually had a chance to play against him. He was a receiver at Arkansas when I was playing at Alabama, and he comes from a very high coaching family background. His father, Ron Dickerson Sr., coached at Penn State for a long time, was a head coach at a number of other places in college. So he's definitely got a pedigree, and he's got a good staff over there. And we knew that we couldn't overlook those guys, and I know some people were talking trap game and all that, and I kept saying, well, look, nobody here has beaten Benedict since I've been here, you know, on our team. So we took that game very serious, and they did a good job of just shutting us down in the second half, I felt like.
Well, just to let you know how old I am, I worked with his dad, Ron Dickerson Sr., when I was over at Alabama State. So, yeah, he's been around. Ron Jr. was around then, too. So he's certainly not a newbie to the coaching game at all.
Not at all.
So Benedict scores. Now it's 20-14, and things aren't looking great. They pin you down inside the 5-yard line, and Benedict, their crowd, the homecoming crowd again, they start to get a little feisty. They're starting to get behind their guys. And it took one play to kind of change all of that. Cam Ivory, big run where he broke free for 55 yards. Talk about that ability that he has to be able to make those kind of plays.
Well, it was the longest rush that we had all season, actually, and that's pretty impressive when your quarterback has that over your running backs. I think those guys are going to be trying to be trying to take that back from him, but Cam's a guy. He's got a lot of ability. Obviously, he can throw the football, but he's got really good athleticism. We don't run him a whole lot or try to run him a whole lot, but we know that when we need him to, he can get the job done, and he showed it on that play.
Right. See, he was 17 of 25 in the air. He had over 240 yards, but he had 62 yards on the ground, 300-plus yards of total offense. But that drive, even in him flipping the field like that, he still had to make one more play. It was a 4th down play there,
right,
where he was able to find Frank Pierre for the second touchdown. Talk about that play and even that throw, because Frank Pierre was covered.
Well, Cam actually did some really good things in the ball game. I mean, you talked about the numbers that he had, 17 of 25, almost 250 yards passing, the 2 touchdowns. We actually gave up 1 sack on the day, and people watching the tape would think that's on the quarterback, why he didn't get rid of the ball. Well, actually, one of our receivers didn't run the proper route, and Cam's thinking that the guy's going to get open, and unfortunately, he runs the wrong route, and Cam ends up having to take the sack. But you take that away. I thought he had an excellent game, and that 4th down play was just one that him and Frank just really – they work one-on-ones in practice. It was one-on-one coverage, and, you know, we work one-on-ones against our defensive backs, our receivers, and so he's been in that situation before. He's seen that type of coverage that the defensive back was playing, and it paid off for us.
Right, because he threw some traffic. Frank was on the other side of it.
He did.
It kind of reminded me a little bit of how that Washington Bears game just ended the other day, and I really don't want to talk about that because I'm sure you enjoyed it from the Washington side, but if I was really closer to my TV wouldn't be here anymore. I'm upset. But
wow.
But just the way Frank was behind the defender, it was just like Cam just dropped it right into him where anybody could have caught it, but really it was only meant for Frank.
Well, it was a great adjustment by Frank and by Cam because actually the defender, he stepped inside and actually took away Frank's ability to get inside of him, and so Frank had to readjust and pivot basically and work behind him, and Cam saw that at the last minute and made a great throw.
So you're up, another missed extra point. It's 26-14, but your defense has to kind of hold the day, and that's exactly what it did. Only 210 yards of total offense for Benedict. They had really that happened in a couple of drives, but for the most part, you were able to kind of keep that offense at bay.
Very proud of our defense. That was a basically a goal line stance in that first half that it was really impressive. Where they actually got a new set of downs. We got them to fourth down, but they get a new set of downs because of a penalty. And we didn't have many penalties in the game. We had 5 for 40 yards. That's not bad. Obviously, you'd like to have none. But that one penalty did give them another set of downs inside the 5-yard line, and they come away with nothing.
Right.
And that's a big-time stop by our defense. Coach Shelling and those guys, our coaches on defense and those players, my hat went off to them. After that, I was just like, we're going to win this ball game.
Well, that drive, that set of plays started was 1st and goal at the 3. You backed them up. Then the penalty resets the down, so it's 1st and goal at the 4.
Right.
And then they end up having to kick it after a couple of lost plays, and you get the block, and here you go. It's the other way. And so, we talked about special teams not doing well in the kicking game, but second week in a row you've gotten a block. That's something. How much do you all work on that?
We work on it. We work on every phase of the game. Unfortunately, sometimes it doesn't look like we do sometimes, or it might not show. But like I said, the other coaches, the other team, they got good coaches. They get paid too. They've got good players. So it's almost like chess. You make a move here, and then they make this move, and sometimes they make a better move than you make, and you're sitting there like, what just happened? But I think right there, they probably were saying what just happened, because we get to stop the goal line. Basically, I feel like it's a goal line stand when you're inside the 5, and then we block the field goal attempt. So that was a big momentum swing in the ball game for us.
And it turned everything around and ended up turning into a 26-14 win for the Golden Bears, who are now 6-2, 6-0 in the conference, 6 straight wins. This team has not gotten off to this kind of start in conference play since 2012, 2015, since this team last won 6 in a row overall. So you're starting to get into some rarefied air. I looked at the polls. The polls now, you're getting votes in the national poll, even though not in the top 25 yet. People are paying attention to what this team is doing, but you've still got some work to do before you can even say, hey, we're going to play for a championship, and that starts this week against Morehouse. Talk about the Maroon Tigers and the test that they're going to bring.
Well, we went over there last year, and I want to say they might have had one win at the time that we went over there, but they gave us all we could handle over at Morehouse last year. It was a ball game that I think some people thought that we would score a lot of points, or it'd be a big margin of as far as us winning, but those guys fought, and that's what I see on film right now. Watching them on film, I know they're a one-win team right now, but they fly around offense, defense, special teams. They just went to Albany State, and the score was 21-20 at halftime. Albany was up 21-20, so that tells you what type of ball club you're playing. So this isn't your regular team that's got one loss. They're still fighting, and I think Terrence Mathis, their head coach, he's a guy that I've known for a little while, got a lot of respect for, obviously. I was a younger guy in the NFL when he was kind of an older receiver, but was a fantastic player, and I think they're doing a great job for his first year there at Morehouse.
Well, he certainly did something that hadn't been done there in a while. They won a game in September this year. They lost 15 consecutive games in September before he got them to that win this year. And it happens when you change, and you've been in the position. It's
right.
It can be tough when you come in, especially when they bring you in late, and you've got to kind of build. But you seem to believe that he's going to be all right in doing that.
I do. I had a chance to spend some time around him a couple times this summer, and just not really talking ball, just talking philosophy and talking culture and the way that you want to try to build a program. And he talked about some things he had going on over there, and I talked about some things that I went through here. And same thing, Coach Dickerson. This is his first year at Benedict, and I told him before the game, I said, man, you're doing a great job, because obviously I've been in your shoes, and unfortunately we only won one game my first year. And at that point, he had 3 wins. I said, man, you're doing a great job, and I know what you're probably going through because I've been there.
Well, we're going to try to get there come Saturday. It's going to be Senior Day, the last regular season home game as we take on the Morehouse Maroon Tigers. Kickoff is at 2 p.m. Make sure we've changed it from 4 to 2 p.m. So we'll kick off at 2 p.m. on Saturday. We'll do Senior Day festivities prior to the ball game, but make sure you're at Albert J. Sloan Alumni Stadium to check out the Golden Bears. Final regular season game at home. May get an opportunity to have one more, but got a little more work to do before we get to that. Some other housekeeping before we wrap it up here. Offensive Player of the Week in the SIAC is Mr. Cameron Ivory with the 305 total yards, the 2 touchdown passes. As you said, the long run, which is his career long and the longest run by a Golden Bear this season. So congratulations to him. Congratulations on the volleyball side. Aaliyah Sanders, second time this year. She is the Defensive Player of the Week for the Lady Bears. They played 4 matches last week. Got a win against Lemoyne-Owen. Again, seeing an improvement, young team, but Aaliyah Sanders, she has been certainly one of the better defensive players, one of the better liberos in the SIAC this year, so she gets recognized for a second time. The golf team finished their fall portion of the schedule. They played in the Bridgestone HBCU Invitational. 10 teams, 8 of them Division I. Wow. Miles finished 5th. Great finish. George Aguilera finished 4th in the individual medalist round. He did very well. Darius Gillis finished in the top 15. He had 3 rounds, all of them 3 over. He finished 9 over, did a great job. Great job for the Golden Bears. They're going to get a break. They won't be back on the links until February. That's when they will play their next match as far as going towards trying to get a second consecutive SIAC title. And also, don't forget basketball upcoming. We've got a great slate that's going to start in a couple of weeks. Make sure you go to milesgoldenbears.com to check it out. Also, don't want to forget, we've got a couple volleyball matches this week. Spring Hill comes into Knox Windham Gymnasium. They play at 6 o'clock on Halloween. Bring your costumes. We might find a way to integrate that into some of the fun we like to have at our volleyball matches. And then they will play again. They play Tuskegee on Saturday at home. So you got a full day. You can come on into Fairfield, come check out some great volleyball action. They're going to throw first serve up at 9 o'clock. So bring your coffee with you. But we got volleyball, then we got football. It's just a great time to be around Miles, and we hope you come have fun with us. So great week, Coach. Got more house coming up. I'm sure you guys are looking forward to it.
Yes, sounds like a great week of action on campus.
And we hope that you enjoyed our sojourn through Miles Athletics. You've been watching Inside the Bears Den with A.A. Moore and Sam Shade.